everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mercury. So today I'm back home and I'm cooking again. I am feeling a little bit better and I'm feeling up to cooking again. And I am always on the lookout for a new recipe for a, as I put it, bread-like product, right? It's not gonna be quite the same as bread because I can't eat, grains and I can't use yeast, and so like all the things that typically make bread, I can't eat. So I found a website called Back Porch Paleo and they have a recipe for biscuits. Sounds interesting. It piqued my curiosity. I have interest in trying this, so I'm gonna try it. We're gonna make this recipe and we're gonna see how it turns out. So let's head over to the kitchen. So here is the recipe lineup. So in here I have my cassava flour. I have baking soda and apple cider vinegar, and that's gonna replace baking powder because I can't use baking powder. We have coconut milk. We have coconut oil. It called for shortening, so coconut oil is what I'm gonna use. Lemon juice. And I think that's all we need. And then in terms of like equipment, you need like measuring cups and stuff like that. You need like a big old bowl. And you can either use like a fork or a like a cutter like you would use for making a pie crust, something similar to that. What I tend to use when a recipe is calling for something to be cut into the dough, I use this, like a potato masher kind of thing. These have worked with success for me, and if this doesn't work, if it's too blunt, if it's too dull, a fork will do also. So this is my tool of choice. Not 100%, doesn't always work, but we're gonna try it, and if it doesn't work great, we'll switch to a fork. It's okay. So let's start mixing everything up. So the first thing that we're gonna do is essentially make a buttermilk, right? It's not really buttermilk, it's not really butter or milk, but what we are doing is adding acid into our milk product. So in this case, our milk product is coconut milk and our acid is gonna be the lemon juice. So we're gonna add lemon juice to the coconut milk and then we're gonna set it aside while we work on the dry ingredients. So whenever a recipe gets me in a situation where I have leftovers in a can, I have these great little cap things and they fit, they're perfect. And then just go boop, and then just goes right in the fridge. They're awesome. So this is now becoming our buttermilk type of mixture. So that's just gonna sit and I'm gonna start mixing up the dry ingredients. The thing with cassava flour, and you could kind of see it, it's so fine. It's almost like a silt, like it's just dust. It's such a fine powder. I almost forgot, in the ingredient lineup, we also need salt. I was scooping out the coconut oil and the weather is getting warmer and it is not fully solid. So what I did is I scooped it out into a measuring cup. I stuck it in the fridge for a little bit. I'm gonna let it solidify a little bit because I want to be able to cut it into the dough. If I put it in a liquid state, it's not gonna be the same. So putting on the patient pants, and I gotta let it solidify a little tiny bit. Then we'll get back to putting it into the dough. So the coconut oil has solidified, and we're gonna put this in here. Oh, forgot this is the broken one. Oh, it only solidified on the surface. Oh well. It's mostly solid. It should be fine. It should be fine. So I'm gonna take the little potato masher and we're gonna mash this up. Now at this point, before it becomes too solid, I'm gonna put in the apple cider vinegar because that's the other half of my baking powder kind of situation. So now it's time to switch tools. So the recipe said a wooden spoon. I don't own any wooden spoons, so a spatula is what I'm switching to. And it described the dough as becoming coarse crumbs. And that, to me, is what this looks like, coarse crumbs. So, time to add in that coconut milk with the lemon juice and mix it up. Okay, the recipe doesn't say to do it slowly or quickly or all at once or a little at a time, so I'm gonna err on the side of caution and do a little at a time. So we're gonna do like a bunch like that, and then we'll start mixing. Because my philosophy is you can always add, but you cannot always take away, right? And it said that it becomes a very sticky dough, was how it was described. So we need to knock out all the crumbles. Okay, let's put some more of this in. Okay, and we could get the last bit in there. I'm just basically pushing down on it. I'm not mixing per se, as much as I'm just sort of pushing it together to form a dough. So this dough is really coming together. This looks really good. It looks like typical dough, right? So the next step is I have non-stick baking sheets, so I'm gonna use those. We have to roll them out to the right size and use biscuit cutters. I have these, which I actually bought when I started making Japanese style pancakes, and you need them to hold the height of the pancake. So this is what I'm gonna use for my biscuit cutter. I'm sure you could use something like a cup. Cookie cutter might be too short because you want them to be a certain height. The recipe was very specific and said multiple times in the recipe to roll them out to 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch and to even use a ruler to measure it. It was like very, very specific about highlighting that aspect of it. So that's why I got this one out, because this has the height to cut it out properly. Otherwise I would have used a cup. So when I reread the instructions, it actually said to roll it out on parchment paper, cut out the biscuit, and then place the biscuit onto the baking sheet. So we're gonna put a little bit of cassava flour on the parchment paper so the biscuit comes off after I cut it out. But that is what we're gonna do here. Also, because of the size of my work area, we're gonna just work in small batches here. So that is the plan, small batches. And this is also so soft, I don't even think I need a rolling pin. I think this is fine. And then we go bloop. And we scoop that away. Scoop that away. And oh good, it came off of there very easy. And there we go, one biscuit. So this is what the biscuits look like before they're going in the oven. Because I made the larger mold for the biscuits, I only got 5 out of this recipe. So that's good to know. But this was like a sizable mold. This was a couple of inches. So while the biscuits are in the oven, perfect time to straighten up a little bit, clean up all the flour I spilled, the little bit of mess that I made. I'm gonna go tidy up a little bit. Tidy up. So they just came out of the oven, And I think because of the size of the cutter that I used, they kind of went wide, they didn't get tall. So that's okay. But just in terms of like their appearance, you know, it's about how they taste, right? So let me show you exactly what they look like. I'm gonna let them cool a little bit so I don't burn myself, and we'll give it a taste test. So this is how they look right out of the oven. They've pretty much held their shape. They did rise a little bit, enough that you could see like there's crinkles in them, almost like a crinkle cookie, the way they crack like that. So there was a little bit of rise, not a tremendous amount, but there was some. So I'm gonna let this just cool a little bit, and then we'll give them a taste. So I have my biscuit. Let's give it a taste. So I guess first let's break it in half and check the flakiness, right? Because it's a biscuit, you gotta check for those things, right? Okay, so you ready? We're gonna check on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that looks good, right? Very steamy. So this is how we're looking here. Looks good. I can actually see some flakiness. Moment of truth, y'all. Not bad. This is a passable biscuit. This is pretty good for some bread-like product. It's sturdy, like it's very sturdy. But like, you know how like a biscuit, it's flaky, but it's still dense, right? This isn't flaky in the sense of like layers. It's not like when you get like a Pillsbury and you could clearly see all the layers and striations. But it's weird to say there's a lightness to the denseness, but that's the best way I could describe this. But like if I were to put a little bit of jam on this, oh, this would be delightful. You know what? I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go get the jam. Okay, so this is just some strawberry chia jam that I have. And I've linked to the chia jam recipe before. So let me put a little bit on here. Not too much, right? We don't want it to be like all jam and no biscuit, right? We have to strike a balance. Okay, so we have some strawberry jam on the biscuit. This is what a happy Mercury looks like. I approve of this recipe. This recipe is hitting me in the feels. This is really, really enjoyable. I really struggle with bread. I really struggle with something that has this kind of consistency, a sturdiness to it that doesn't feel like a rock, that doesn't feel super dense. And this is like a great balance. This is what I would want in a biscuit. And it's sturdy enough that like, if I wanted to put eggs, or do like an eggs Benedict kind of a thing, I don't eat ham, but you know, like this would suffice for that. Or obviously jam, a little butter. Like this is very versatile, and this can work in a lot of ways. This I think would even like be like sturdy enough if you were gonna do like a biscuits and gravy. I think it's got a sturdiness to it that would hold up to it. But from the coconut oil, it's got this light and tenderness to it too. This is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of this. And with that, I'm done, my friends. I'll see you all real soon. And until then, stay inspired by. Take care.